Welcome to this explainer. You know that feeling when you've been working on your English for hours, doing everything right, but you just hit this invisible wall? Yeah, we have all been there. It is incredibly frustrating. Well, today we're diving into some fantastic insights from language expert Leo at Simple English Talks. We're going to explore a total paradigm shift in how to truly master a language, and it's all about moving beyond the textbook.
Okay, let's dive into this with a statement that might honestly shock you. Stop studying English. I know, it sounds completely backwards when you are literally here to improve, but stick with me. I'm not saying you should stop learning, I'm saying we need to drop the traditional, conventional method of studying. Why? Because that old way simply does not work.
And that brings us to Section 1, the problem with studying.
Let's think about the traditional studying loop for a second. You sit at a desk, you memorize your vocabulary, you fill out the workbook exercises, and you check your answers. Ticking off those boxes, it feels amazing. You feel highly productive. But it's kind of a trap, creating this false sense of security. Because, well, what's the actual result? The moment a native speaker talks to you at a normal, real-world speed, the words just blur together, the meaning completely vanishes, and total panic sets in. Listen, that isn't a language problem. That is a studying problem.
Let's move to Section 2, Knowledge versus Ability.
So, think about building knowledge. That's knowing that the present perfect tense uses have or has plus a past participle, or knowing the exact dictionary definition of the word resilient. That stuff is just stored in your memory. But building ability? That is entirely different. That's the capacity to respond in 2 seconds flat to someone speaking at full speed. It requires muscle memory and it fires from a completely different part of your brain. Traditional studying only really builds knowledge, but real fluency, that requires ability. And ability only comes from actually doing.
Which leads us perfectly into Section 3, the 5 pillars of doing.
And this brilliantly illustrates our complete 5-step roadmap for achieving real fluency outside of a textbook. We have input, output, interaction, noticing, and reflection. By building your daily routine around these 5 pillars, you literally shift your brain from passively hoarding facts to actively building reflex-like ability. Let's break these down one by one.
Step 1 is input. But we aren't just talking about any input here. We are talking about massive amounts of real English consumed at real speed. Forget reading those simplified grammar explanations. You need to read the articles, the books, and the blogs that native speakers read. You need to listen to real podcasts, music, and movies. Your brain learns a language by being exposed to it over and over again, in real contexts with real meaning. Remember, rules only describe a language. They absolutely do not teach it. Authentic exposure is the only thing that does.
Step 2 is output. You can't just take the language in. You've got to put it out into the world every single day. Speak out loud to yourself, write comments on videos, keep a daily journal. So why is this absolutely crucial? Well, when you try to express a thought and you struggle to find that one specific word, you identify a gap. But unlike getting a question wrong in a textbook, this is a gap that actually matters to you because you wanted to express a real thought. Your brain will work overtime to fill a meaningful gap way faster than a meaningless one.
Step 3 is interaction, and it brings us to this powerful idea: comfort in language learning is stagnation, discomfort is progress. Having real, messy conversations with language exchange partners or in online communities is, let's be honest, undeniably scary, but you have to do it. Interaction is the only place where all your skills are tested at the exact same time. You're forced into listening, speaking, understanding, thinking on your feet, and managing your nerves all at once. The very moment you feel uncomfortable is the exact moment your brain is growing the fastest.
Step 4 is noticing. When you're out there consuming all this real English, you need to actively pay attention. If you hear a phrase that sounds supernatural, write it down. If a sentence construction catches your eye, pause and really think about why it sounds that way. Noticing is a wildly effective language concept because when you spot a pattern out in the wild, it isn't just an isolated rule anymore. It's already deeply connected to a real, memorable context. And our brains love remembering things connected to a real story.
And the final step is reflection. At the end of your day, just take 2 minutes. That's it. Ask yourself, what did I understand today? What did I try to say but couldn't quite find the words for? What cool new phrase did I hear? This step is the glue. Without reflection, your daily English experiences just kind of wash over you and pass right through your brain. But a quick 2-minute review grabs those passing experiences and permanently converts them into lasting lessons.
All right, Section 4. Grammar is just a vitamin.
Now, what's really interesting here is how we reframe grammar. You might be wondering, wait, should I ever study grammar again? Well, think of grammar as simply a vitamin. It's a targeted supplement. If you have a specific confusion, or maybe you're prepping for a specific exam, sure, take the vitamin, but it should only ever be a small supplement. You literally cannot survive on vitamins alone. You need real substantial food to live and grow, and massive amounts of real English input, output, and interaction, that is your real daily food.
Let's look at Section 5, a real English day.
So what does this actually look like in practice? Well, here's your real English day. In the morning, you just listen to an English podcast while you're eating breakfast. You don't sit down and study it, you just absorb it. Then, in the afternoon, you spend 10 minutes reading an English article about a topic you actually care about. You read for the topic, not the language. And in the evening, spend just a few minutes writing 3 sentences in a journal or chatting in an online community. Notice what's missing? No textbooks, no drilling vocabulary lists. Yet, these simple daily habits add up to absolutely extraordinary results over time.
Moving to our final section, Section 6, Embracing the Mess.
Let's be totally honest about the stark contrast in how these two methods actually feel. Traditional studying feels highly productive. It's clean, it's organized, it's easily measurable with a test score. But real English use? It feels messy. It feels like a giant puzzle. It's uncertain and imperfect. You might listen to a podcast and only understand 70% of it. You're going to speak and you're going to make mistakes. It feels a lot less controlled and noticeably slower at first. But acknowledging this discomfort is the very first step to overcoming it.
Because here is the absolutely crucial takeaway. Measurable is not the same as effective. Yes, a textbook test score is easy to measure, but the messy, uncomfortable, uncertain daily contact with real English is what actually builds your ability. That friction, that is exactly where fluency is forged. Clean but ineffective exercises will just keep you stagnant. The mess is what will set you free.
So I have a question for you. Which one of these 5 pillars, input, output, interaction, noticing, or reflection, are you going to start doing this week? Don't overwhelm yourself, just pick one to commit to today. It is time to stop filling your head with mere knowledge about English and start filling your life with English itself. If this framework shifted your perspective even a little bit, share it with someone you know who's trapped on that studying plateau. So what do you say? Are you ready to stop studying and finally start doing?